James Rajat is the very popular Conservative from Edmonton and chair of the Finance Committee. Now, Deputy Leader Megan Leslie couldn't make it for the NDP, but that's okay because Nathan's here to substitute, although a rather poor substitute he is.
Very poor.
And last, and in terms of party standing least, is fun-loving Cape Bretoner Roger Cuzner, who's the Liberal Party's. Are you Labour critic still?
Labour and HRDC.
All right. Let's talk quickly about Jason Kenney's announcement. Roger, I'll start with you. Does it make sense to you to get the hardened criminal element that commit offences in Canada out of the country quickly?
We'll have a look at at what's being proposed, and I don't think that there was any, he didn't anticipate any passing of this legislation at this late juncture, but it's good for the barbecue circuit. I think it'll play well with the core supporters. But I'm waiting for the email to find out what his real thoughts are on it. And,
he's not replying all anymore. We asked him about that.
Okay, I'll hold your breath on that. Yeah, Nathan, you sounded like you were somewhat supportive, but subject to change without notice.
It's only really struck me now what this is about. This is the Conrad Black bill. This is all about Conrad Black. Sure, we're crimes committed here in Canada is the question. And if Conrad Black, the United States wanted to extradite him again, could we move the process along faster? It's only dawned on me now. I thought they were in favor of Conrad Black coming home, but now I'm a little suspicious of your intentions, sir.
Yeah. I thought he was supposed to be a guest host tonight.
No.
Well, he is. Right now he's standing in for Megan, okay?
Yeah,
but he is saying he's in favor of Cuzner for leader of the Liberal.
That I am also in favor of.
Listen,
and you are too, right?
It's spreading like a prairie fire across this country.
The bandwagon is getting full there, boys.
Yeah.
Well, what? Has he got any point at all?
No, absolutely not. I mean, this has been a long-standing problem in Canada raised by the Auditor General in the past in terms of people staying in Canada with criminal records or people who should have been deported. So the minister's taking action on a long-standing problem. This is a minister, actually, if you look at the immigration file, has acted on a number of very important files over the last number of years, and this is one that needs to be acted upon. And I think the opposition parties will both look at it very seriously, and I think Minister Kenney has shown in the past he's certainly willing to work with other parties on legislation.
I do want to move to the fact that the sitting is probably going to end tonight, or Nathan says over his dead body because he's got something to do tomorrow.
That's right. We have a press conference. Right? We got a press conference in the morning. Nothing's shutting down until that happens.
And he can make that happen, I guess, right? But let's say we're not going to have you guys on before this thing is over. I want to get your thoughts on this sitting. It was an extremely busy one. I can't think of a government that's done more in such a short time frame. But Nathan, is it? I know it's been busy. Obviously, you think it's been terribly misguided.
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of fundamental changes. For us in the official opposition, through this session, we chose our new leader in Tom and had our new cabinet put in, our shadow cabinet put in. And I think by far, it seems the biggest story of the session was certainly around Bill C-38, the Trojan horse bill, and how the government used all the tactics that they could to ram that through. That was... it was a bit of a surprise, I suppose, as well, because you can get a little cynical around this place, and you think, well, government abuses power, that's not exactly a headline. But then, lo and behold, Canadians actually cared once they realized all the pieces that were in this thing. And that right-wing, left-wing doesn't matter. This is about preserving the democratic values that we hold, and that Parliament should be supreme, and governments should have a little humility from time to time and respect the place.
The tone, Roger, did you find it changed under the majority government? Have you felt in the last 6 months it's getting worse or better? And what did you find was the #1 sort of highlight, if you will, or low light, depending on your point of view?
It's just a year ago we had an election. They had run on a number of different issues, and they addressed those issues. But then all of a sudden, everything came out of the blue. The changes to the OAS, the changes to the EI, gutting of DFO and environment. Those were never mentioned during a campaign, but were brought forward. So that was a strange aspect of it. The hold that the Prime Minister continues to have on his caucus, that fist, that we started to see some signs of that. The David Wilkes thing was pretty interesting.
It was, wasn't it?
To see remind people that's the BCMB.
Yeah, the BCMB did the UP, and he saw the flaws in the piece of legislation. He was going to stand and challenge them, and then the next thing, he gets taken to the woodshed by the PMO, and the next time you see him, it's like one of those the guys that get kidnapped by the terrorists, and they have to read the statement that the terrorists
with the sword.
Who's the terrorist? Yeah, saying how wonderful the bill was, how wonderful the budget was. Oh God, yeah. So that was a little embarrassing. So
that's even much for you.
And not saying so. You may be off your leadership team now. But
James, frantically busy, but an awful lot of this stuff. I mean, obviously you cleared the decks quickly on what you promised to do during the election, but then you brought in a whole lot of stuff that wasn't on the election agenda, and you've kind of pushed that through in a hurry. How do you characterize what's happened?
Well, Don, I think you're absolutely right. It was a very busy session. We look at the passage of the immigration bill, the passage of the copyright bill with Minister Moore and Minister Perry working on that finally after years and years of debate on that issue. Passage, obviously, of Bill C-38. But I would actually argue, I'd encourage people to go back to the pre-budget hearings in which we heard from over 400 people on a very wide variety of topics. We passed the budget, obviously, that was introduced late March. All of the topics that were in the budget bill actually link back to something that's in the budget. And you can actually go back to pages in the budget and say responsible resource development was one of the major themes, if not the major theme in the budget. Same with changes to OAS, same with changes to employment insurance in terms of addressing our labor needs. All of these issues were, in fact, in the budget document. It's just, I think a lot of people missed a lot of that because it was a very large budget. But as you said, it was a very activist government in the sense of getting things done. And you saw the introduction of two pieces of legislation, or two items today, both on the RCMP and again on deportation of criminals. That's, again, showing the government's acting in these areas.
I want to throw down a challenge to all three of you quickly on this one because we're almost out of time. Roger, say one nice thing about the government, one good thing the government did since they came back after Christmas.
Two changes to the EI, best 14 weeks and working well on claim were positive changes. They were both Liberal pilot projects that they decided to renew, so that's okay. But listen, they're good changes. They were impediments to taking work, so I'll commend them on that. And I have done that before. Okay. I'm on record.
You got anything nice to say about the government? Is there one thing that you think they've done right?
I like James, nice guy. No, there was a loophole buried way deep in that Trojan horse that actually closed a loophole around people evading taxes. This is something that's been in conversation and hard to do, actually. It's not fully closed. Right. Canadians just avoiding, very, very wealthy Canadians, by the way, who just skip out on their taxes.
And you've got a quick answer. You've got to say something nice about the NDP. Have they done anything decent, in your view, since Christmas?
In terms of in the House? Well, I think Nathan's been a very effective House leader, and I'd say, I mean, in the issue of decorum, I would actually credit I think the NDP has tried to maintain what Jack inspired in terms of saying the House should be a more civil, substantive place in terms of, some very tough political debate, but let's lower the temperature in terms of law.
Anything nice to say about these guys?
Well, I mean, this guy's my twin brother, so I have nothing but, although I am much taller, but, and again, I think we did this last week, but you have to admire someone like Bob Ray, who's dedicated his life to public service and has made a tough decision, though, that he will stay on as interim leader but not run for the leadership.
We ended on
Wasn't that nice?
Big group. All right, now he's back on the co-host chair. Take it away, Nathan. Have a good summer, you two.
All the best.
Time to take the pulse of Canada, and the best